I thought I unearthed an ancient treasure once when I found $10 in the pocket of an old coat I hadn't worn in years, but that's nothing compared to the ancient treasures these people have found. From a farmer who found 3.8 million in gold to an ancient Greek masterpiece, get ready for the top 10 most amazing ancient treasures unearthed.
Amazing!
Number 10. Farmer finds 3.8 million in gold coins. In 1992, Peter Whately was a simple farmer in England who lost his hammer one day. Unable to find it in his field, he called a friend with a metal detector for help because, hey, hammers cost money. The detector led him to a wooden chest filled with gold coins and jewelry and silver spoons. Shocked, Whately called in archaeologists who dated the treasure trove to the 4th or 5th century and went on to find other pieces, including Roman ladles and serving bowls. The whole lot was valued at more than 3.8 million, and it was purchased by the British Museum. They also bought Whately's hammer, which is on display in the museum. With the money he made on what is known as the Hoxton Hoard, he can probably buy a new one of whatever he was going to fix with that hammer. Number 9. The Terracotta Army. Farmers in China also made an impressive discovery in 1972 when one of them struck the head of a statue with a shovel. The team of 7 men thought they'd found a bronze bust or maybe an old structure of Buddha. As it turned out, they'd uncovered the tomb of the Qin dynasty's first emperor. That sculpture they'd conked on the head was one of 8,000 life-size terracotta soldiers, horses, and chariots buried to guard the 3rd century emperor in the afterlife. The fact that he needed so many soldiers to guard him makes me wonder just where exactly he thought he was headed in the afterlife. But the statues were intricately detailed. Each one has an individual face. It's considered one of the most important historical finds in China. Number 8. The Curedale Hoard of Viking Treasure. Workers in Curedale in England were just trying to repair an embankment on the south side of the River Ribbles when they found the largest hoard of Viking silver pieces in history. They were buried in a lead chest, which contained more than 7,000 coins, and based on their condition, they were collected over a few years, rather than all at once. Some Viking jewelry was also included. Historians believe the hoard was buried between 905 and 910, after the Vikings fled out of Dublin in 902. One theory is that the hoard may have been a war chest buried by the Norse Vikings while planning a triumphant return to Dublin that never happened. Back in 1840, British law made the hoard the property of the Crown, although most of it was allocated to the British Museum. For their trouble, the workers who found it got to keep 1 coin each. Number 7. Tilla Tepe Bactrian Gold. Northern Afghanistan is home to an archaeological site known as Tilla Tepe, which was excavated in 1978, shortly before the country was invaded by Russia. At that point, the extensive gold treasure found there, known as Bactrian gold, disappeared for decades, changing hands many times before being buried under a bank. It was only rediscovered and made public in 2003, when the new Afghan government recognized a golden opportunity to publicize the previously lost again treasure and made a deal with France for displaying it throughout several museums. The hoard contains more than 20,000 artifacts, including coins, jewelry, and other ornaments from a diverse array of countries, including China, India, and Greece. The pieces were retrieved from 6 burial mounds, which probably belonged to a prince and his 5 wives. Number 6. Abbey Cluny Finds. The Abbey of Cluny in France is home to one of the most significant archaeological finds in history. Since 2015, academics and students from the University of Lyon and CNRS have worked together to excavate the site. Finds include more than 2,200 silver deniers, the biggest hoard of these silver coins ever found, mostly minted by the Abbey of Cluny. These dated to the 12th century. Excavators also found 21 Islamic gold dinars, which were struck between 1121 and 1131, and a gold signet ring from the early 12th century. Signet rings were rare and only owned by the wealthy at that time. Again, the combination of coins from different parts of the world is interesting, and researchers hope to discover what kind of building was above the dig site before the abbey. First National Bank of the 12th century, maybe? I wonder if they got a free toaster after depositing those deniers in dinars. Number 5. Huge cache of Crusader gold. This was one of the largest gold stockpiles ever, found in 2012 at an ancient castle named Apollonia, just north of Tel Aviv. Oren Tal, a professor from Tel Aviv University, led the dig after one of his students discovered the coins in a broken pottery item hidden beneath a floor tile at Apollonia. The castle was previously called Arsur and would have been under Crusader control when the stash of coins was hidden. In 1265, the castle fell under Muslim control for a time, and it's possible the coins were hidden from the new owners. Tal says the dig's findings suggest there was a long and protracted battle at the site. They uncovered more than 108 coins, valued at more than $100,000. Number 4. Ancient Roman treasures. Elsewhere in Israel, the port of Caesarea is home to an ancient shipwreck that yielded gold coins and statues. 2 divers knew they'd found something important when they came across a bronze lamp showing the sun god Sol, another of the moon goddess Luna, and fragments of old jars. It took a 2-week survey to determine they'd actually found a 1,600-year-old shipwreck and dredge up all the goodies, which included more rare bronze artifacts. They also recovered thousands of ancient coins, which over the years had become fused together. They were stored in a vessel and melded into its shape with time. Jacob Sharvit, director of the Marine Archaeology Unit of the Israel Antiquities Authority, says the reason the ship was found in the port and not out at sea was because it was an ancient recycling barge. Although back in the 4th century, being green wasn't considered important like it is today, bronze statues were often melted down to make new items, and the ship was likely on its way to Caesarea to recycle a big haul when it ran into trouble. Anchors show the ship's crew tried to keep it from wrecking, but the storm got the upper hand anyway. Meanwhile in Egypt, archaeologists uncovered 3 millennia-old shipwrecks filled with more ancient Roman artifacts. One even had gold coins from the time of Rome's first emperor, Augustus. There was also a full-head sculpture carved into crystal. I wonder what the fish thought of that. Number 3. Ancient Greek masterpiece on tiny gemstone. This ancient discovery almost sounds like it's from one of those conspiracy shows on cable. In 2015, husband and wife team Jack Davis and Sharon Stalker from the University of Cincinnati ran an excavation near the Palace of Nestor in Greece. They uncovered a 3,500-year-old tomb filled with jewelry, weapons, and armor, and one very curious piece. So small it was originally mistaken for a bead, this carving was crusted in limestone. Once the limestone was rubbed away, an incredibly intricate carved gemstone was revealed. It's now considered one of the greatest prehistoric Greek pieces of artwork. But the problem is, no one can figure out how it was made. Called the Pylos Combat Agate, it's one of about 11,000 known seal stones from the Minoan and Mycenaean civilizations. This one depicts a near-naked warrior driving a sword into his opponent, and the level of detail is incredible for the agate's tiny size. The artist would have had to magnify their view of the stone to do such intricate work, but no method of magnification was known to exist at the time. The piece might also have been made with a rotating wooden lathe, and was probably worked on by more than one individual due to the varying quality of dexterity in the craftsmanship. So, how did something this intricate get made 3,500 years ago? I don't know about you, but I'm thinking it's aliens, and the cable shows would probably agree with me. In other news about ancient artifacts of Greece, the Venus de Milo was buried for centuries on the Greek island of Melos before a peasant found it while trying to salvage marble building blocks from a pile of ancient ruins that was just lying around. A French ambassador bought the statue and later presented it to King Louis XIII, who donated it to the Louvre. Some more really cool Greek artifacts were found in 1876 during an excavation at Mycenae, which turned up several gold death masks, including one supposedly worn by Agamemnon. He was the king of Mycenae, who led the Greek forces during the Trojan War. Death masks like this were made just following death, often by taking a cast or impression directly from the corpse, as a form of photography without a camera. Number 2. The Malagana Treasure. America isn't the only country to have a gold rush. Colombia had its own version in 1992, after a sugarcane farmer worker at Hacienda Malagana was riding along on a tractor when the ground gave way. He fell into a hole, tractor and all. While trying to dig himself out, he realized the ground was full of pieces of gold, including coins, masks, and other artifacts. Naturally, he shared this news with his co-workers, who had to help him out anyway, and before long, the whole town knew, and everyone showed up to grab some gold. Pretty soon, more than 500 people were looting. It's too bad the worker forgot that saying about how silence is golden. After he opened his mouth, almost 4 tons of gold was removed, and most of the items were melted down or sold to collectors, resulting in the ancient artifacts being effectively lost. Reportedly, one person was even murdered during the gold rush. Even police couldn't contain the crowds, and it was almost 2 years before archaeologists could properly excavate the site. Unfortunately, Malagana is not the only site of archaeological looting which occurs around the world today. Before I reveal the most amazing example, I'd like to remind you to subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. We upload amazing fact-filled list videos daily. Also, make sure to click that bell icon to stay updated, or you'll regret missing out on some amazing knowledge that could have filled your brain. Now let's get back to it. Number 1. Mosaics and other treasures of Zeugma. Back in the 3rd century BC, Seleucus Nicator, or Victor, created a settlement called Seleucia on the western side of the Euphrates River. Across the way, on the eastern bank, he built a town named Apamea after his Persian-born wife. As the Roman Empire ran into trouble, so did Zeugma, the ancient name for a bridge or crossing point between the two cities. Today, the ruins are still visible, even as the waters of the Euphrates rise and threaten to permanently cover many of the ancient buildings. Still, many mosaics like these are visible. The mosaics are intricately detailed and often show the Roman gods. They were made possible because of the lost city's wealth. I can only imagine that thousands of years from now, archaeologists will unearth the remains of an all-you-can-eat pizza place and remark at the artistry of the graffiti on the outside walls. Or maybe not. What archaeological finds are you interested in? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching.